Welcome back to this already, the final segment of today's Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. You know, I love talking about sports and sports business and entertainment business, which is why we have Chris Kidd, a regular contributor here on The Price of Business, and he is great at helping people with their financial futures. He's a financial coach, and always love having him on the program. And you can learn more about him at chriskidd, that's KIDD, .com. We had an excellent interview last week with a gentleman who talked about the Super Bowl ticket scandal, and we asked Chris to write about it, and excellent article at not only I think at priceofbusiness.com, but definitely at usdailyreview.com, featured there this week. Make sure you check out that article. Chris, is always glad to have you on the show.
And I'm always glad to be here. It's a lot of fun.
Tell me about tell me what compelled you, to jump into this topic that I think has been largely neglected by others in the media. I'm excited that US Daily Review is kind of a leader in talking about that story.
Yeah, you're talking about the Super Bowl ticket scandal?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was just something that I heard, and first thing that I heard of with it was, how people they'd already purchased Super Bowl tickets, but there were really thousands of people who didn't have their tickets yet, and it was like time for the Super Bowl. I believe Darren Rovell, sports reporter, he's done a lot of stuff with ESPN and CNBC. I think he broke the story, or he was one of the guys that I found out about this from, and it's really crazy. I mean, people like Roger Keelis that we had on the other day. One of the things that he said was it was through multiple brokers. It wasn't just one particular ticket broker, but it was through multiple ones, and they had issues all over. So I just was compelled to address it, because I figured, how would I feel if I was in this situation? I'd be really ticked off. I mean, it's something that is like a dream of a lifetime. I mean, most people, they would love, it would be like a trip of a lifetime to go to the Super Bowl. So I can imagine how excited.
That? And what a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched at least, I would guess at least 30 of them over the years, and being 53, I bet I've watched at least 30 of them, and after a certain point I watched all of them like religiously, and I rank it among the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the top Super Bowls that I've ever seen as well. I mean, it was a great game.
Yeah, so incredible. He had a hard time, and I think anyone would, quantifying the exact number that were adversely affected by this. But it sounds like it was definitely in the thousands.
Oh yeah, because there were several sites that had hundreds just by themselves. I know StubHub was in the hundreds. They're owned or backed by eBay, so I guess they had a little bit deeper pockets to be able to kind of deal with the situation. They had a clause that, with their terms, if a broker that's selling through them does not come through on the tickets, then they'll make it right and they will get the tickets. Well, as Roger was talking about the other day, the ticket brokers were basically short selling tickets, which is doing it with a stock, is you borrow a stock that you don't own, you sell it, and then you buy it back at a cheaper price, and then you give the stock back, and you keep the money in the middle. So that's basically what these ticket brokers were doing. They were selling the tickets already, and then they were hoping to buy them cheaper. But then when they finally got the tickets, the ticket prices had really soared, and they ended up upside down in it. So StubHub, they actually covered it and got the tickets that were, promised, that had already been sold for their customers. And there were others who basically just got well, we're sorry, you're out of luck. I know you already paid for it. We'll give you a refund. There was one guy that offered like a 20% on top of the refund, and there was even another company that I'd read about that had offered to pay twice what they had paid. And some people took it. Others are kind of holding out, waiting, I guess, on a lawsuit, which is really doesn't seem like it's going to be worth that. but because Roger the other day was saying basically they can recover the cost, but you can't prove fraud unless, it'd be really difficult. So they can't really go after a lot more, and it's going to be hard to try to recoup any of the extra trip expenses, which they had already been out of pocket for. And all the ones that did the refunds, they also are making all of their customers sign agreements that say we will not sue you.
Yeah. So let me ask you, one of the things I asked in the interview, you alluded to it, you talked about my question in the article was about, what's going to happen consequentially, what's going to be, what's going to be the takeaway from this. Why don't you talk a little bit? What do you think?
Well, one thing, I think that it's going to change the way that online ticket sales are done. That's definitely something that will change in the future, because when you see things like this happen in any industry, it kind of shakes things up, and then you weed out a lot of the weaker players, and certainly ones who, if anyone had a practice of doing this on a regular basis, a lot of those guys will be gone. I know in the article that I've got on usdailyreview.com, one of the things in there was a guy that his business is basically being shut down. He's going to be out of business over this deal. And so it's unfortunate to him as well, because it doesn't sound like it was something that he had planned on. It's just, his ticket people did not come through, so everybody gets hurt in the process. So I think they'll probably change some of the way that business is done like this. It'll certainly affect consumers. Consumers are going to be a lot more skeptical and check out anybody that they're buying tickets from online a lot closer now. And also, one of the other things is the way that the NFL does the Super Bowl tickets. Right now, they only distribute about 2% out for the actual public, and then the rest is gobbled up, and that's when you get people doing these short sale type things, and also raising up the ticket prices to where they go like 5-10 times as much as the face value. So I think one other thing that the NFL could do is look into changing that policy to where maybe they release them closer to the date, and have prices out there prior to that, to where it doesn't give them as much time to start marking up or raising the cost of the tickets for the middlemen.
Mm-hmm. Very good stuff. Important information. And I'm glad we've been focusing on this. Frankly, and I think it's a huge story what happened with Pete Carroll and his choice of play at the end of that game. I think that's going to be second guessed into eternity. I think he's one of the best coaches, though, in all of football, be it college or professional. And I love his personality. I love his style. He's a player's coach and figured out how to be one in the NFL, which they think you have to be, pretty hard with people in order to be successful at that. And he's proving that he's got kind of that ability to deal with those egos. But he made a huge mistake. There's no question about it. But I don't think that's an only story. I think how you present this game to customers is crucial. I think that the ball was dropped, pun intended, in the ticket distribution. And I'm proud that you and U.S. Daily Review has been really focusing on this.
Yeah, it's one of these things that probably will not go away overnight. We may not hear about it as much as we have lately, but it's going to take a while to resolve these issues and to weed through it and make sure that stuff like this doesn't happen again.
Check out usdailyreview.com. Click the sports section. It's currently featured, and but if you don't see it quickly, just click sports, and it'll be the top story over there. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. As always, Chris Kidd, chriskidd.com. That's KIDD. I'm Kevin Price. Want to wish you a great rest of your day, and I hope you spend it right here on this station.